Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our webinar, Industry Recovery and Deferred Demand, Preparing for the Revenge Travel Wave. Before we begin the conversation, I just want to bring up a little bit of housekeeping. As usual, we will send out a recording of the webinar the following day. So on Thursday, you'll receive that in your inbox from Event Temple. If you have any questions throughout the webinar that you'd like one of our panelists to answer, feel free to share that in the chat box or in the Q&A box just at the bottom of your screen. Other than that, let's get into it. So welcome everyone. There's something new hitting the hospitality industry, a massive wave of deferred demand. And today we have three wonderful panelists to be discussing how hotels can prepare for this travel demand, things to watch for as their market might be heading into recovery, and lessons that could be learned. Before we jump into the conversation, I'd love to introduce our panelists. So we have Lloyd. Lloyd, I'll kick it over to you.
Hello, Sammy. It's my sincerest pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting Duetto to participate in this session, which we hope will benefit Duettos and all hoteliers around the world, no matter what phase of the hospitality industry bounce back that they are in. My name is Lloyd Biddle, Director of Enterprise Solutions at Duetto. Whereas a revenue management system, or RMS, we aid hotels and hospitality companies with predictive analytics to help nail the forecast that drives their commercial strategies, such as pricing and inventory optimization. Duetto collaborates with a lengthy list of innovative technology partners across the hospitality industry, including working closely with Mews, where a Duetto Mews integration can be streamlined, I think, in just 1 week. So with that, let me pass the mic to my esteemed colleague, Joseph, to say hello.
Thanks, Lloyd. Yeah, my name is Joseph. I'm the product director at Mews, and Mews is a cloud-based hospitality management platform, or in other words, a property management system. And we really kind of push the industry to be more open, more transparent, more integrated. And this is why we have such great partners like Duetto and Event Temple. So thank you for having me today.
Perfect. Thank you both. And last but not least, we have Dan Woods, my colleague from Event Temple. Dan, over to you.
Thank you, Sammy. Thanks for having me. My name is Dan Woods. I'm the Vice President of Sales at Event Temple. I've spent the last 16 years in different verticals in SaaS, ranging from automotive, legal, real estate software, and now event and hotel technology. I consulted with Event Temple for about a year prior to joining, signed my contract end of February 2020, right before COVID came in. So it's been quite an adrenaline rush. But we've obviously grew headcount and revenue, which is a testament to our platform and our product. And what we offer is a true sales and catering platform, a sales CRM, and an event management software, focusing on 4 main pillars: ease of use, integrated, enterprise, scalable, and obviously offering industry-leading support, because after all, we are in hospitality.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Dan. All right, let's jump into the conversation. So we're going to start off by discussing the current market conditions. As vaccines are starting to roll through and travel markets are recovering, we just got great news in BC that we're going to be opening up within the next 4 months. So we're all very excited. And we're starting to see that wave of deferred travel hit. So what are you seeing in regards to demand and guest behavior, Lloyd? We'll start with you.
That's a great question, Sammy. And let me forewarn you all, I'm a bit of a data geek, but I guess you would expect that from a revenue manager. So the Duetto data, what's it say? It indicates varying stages of rebound across the global hospitality industry. Asia Pacific boasts occupancy levels that are approaching pre-pandemic levels in the 70s. Americas is reporting occupancy percentages that are very close behind, nearing 60%. And while occupancies across EMEA are much more uneven, they're somewhat revived after lockdown measures were recently eased across some nations. The tomb sweeping holiday domestic demand spike in China was repeated during the recent May Day celebration. What was witnessed during the spring break period in the US could be the crystal ball clarity the industry needs as it awaits the Memorial Day start to the summer vacation travel period this coming weekend. Likewise, the recent UK early May bank holiday proved the ebbs and flows of leisure travel trends are fairly consistent and thus predictive across the global regions. The timing is different, but the progression looks similar, and hence different hotel revenue management leading indicators can be a bellwether for the 101 days of summer ahead. Starting with APAC, what jumps out to me in the Duetto data is on the books ADR performance. It is up 50% year over year from May through September, and that pricing power carries over for the balance of the year and into early 2022. In the Americas, Latin America's on the books rooms are 43% ahead of the prior year at a 13% higher average daily rate. US pace, it just remains off the charts over the Memorial Day to Labor Day travel season, with new bookings up 81% compared to last month's 150% month-over-month increase. And the story in EMEA region is consumer search behavior. For the May to September period, it climbed another 15% month-over-month after posting an 88% jump in the previous month. So that signals a lot of pent-up demand to travel as hotels are starting to fully reopen in Europe, Sammy.
Awesome, and I love all that data backed by that. It's great to see and encouraging. I mean, we were talking this morning how the US this weekend is seeing occupancy across all markets. So it's really exciting to see and very encouraging. Joseph, what are you seeing on the Mews side, and how long are you expecting revenge travel to last?
Yeah, I think I can only mirror Lloyd's trends there, because we've seen over the past 30 days, 250 plus hotels reopening in the Mews portfolio. We're fairly European centric, so the trends have been a little bit slower because we know that in the US has been much faster reopening trend. And we've seen in the last 17 days an occupancy jump to almost 60% across the portfolio, which is a jump of 15% in the last few days, so to speak. And I guess that all is a credit to the global vaccination programs, some more clarity from governments across the board, even though still fairly changing in certain areas. And we're really seeing real demand coming into our hotels. I think it will last for quite some time. I think, not just speaking to guests in our interviews and, in our support structures with the hotels, we're seeing that demand is going to last. People want to travel, people want to get out. I must say we're seeing still more demand on the domestic travel rather than international travel due to some of the uncertainties that we're still seeing, especially in Europe. But definitely trends like Portugal and Spain, with regards to where I'm based in the UK, is much stronger because the government has decided to open those ports. And I think as every country makes those decisions to open up its doors, we will see people wanting to travel. I certainly can't wait to get on a plane, mask or no mask. I want to visit a different place. Yeah.
I think we can all echo that sentiment of wanting to travel. I know we're looking forward even just for the US-Canada border to be open up. Hey, Dan?
Absolutely.
So with regards to Event Temple, what are we seeing for groups and events right now with these open markets?
Yeah, happy to touch on that. But first and foremost, I'll just say it's about time that we're seeing travel open up, and revenge travel is definitely a thing. Within our own software, we're seeing group bookings and events increase by 92% since January of this year. So that's fantastic to see that drive. We're seeing shorter lead times as well, averaging 3 weeks. And it's definitely a buyer's market right now. And hoteliers are getting ready for this pent-up demand, and they're looking at clean technology that they can put in place to be able to facilitate it. That's the biggest thing. So I think we can continue to see these waves continue to each major segment returns. And we're obviously seeing leisure and recreational travel spike right now, to echo Joseph's sentiment. People are done. They're cooped up. They've been in the house for too long. They have money to spend, and they want to get out and enjoy themselves. And that's fantastic. We're seeing large conventions being scheduled in fall and early winter. And we have a lot of time to make up for. About 18 months of travel events were canceled, as we all know, worldwide. And it's going to come back in a major way. And we're just hoping that hoteliers are ready for this. And that's why we're on this panel today offering our services.
Muted again. Awesome. Yes. So let's talk about the challenges. So we were seeing a lot of positive coming through, but obviously there are a couple challenges that we've noticed. So Joseph, when certain markets reopened, the leisure travel increased exponentially. I mean, US occupancy rates were sitting at 80% of 2019 numbers. So what are some of the main challenges hoteliers in these markets are currently facing?
I think the major challenge is staff training and access to the systems and being able to handle the demand. Let's not forget some of these hotels have been closed for a very long time, running with reduced staff, lots of staff on furloughs now coming back. And we've seen an increase of 15% of support tickets coming into our support team week on week over the last 4 weeks, because people are starting to use the system again. They're forgetting how it was done, how they should, operate the various procedures that you in the hotels. I think the other challenges are also repeated from the first end of the first lockdown, where we saw real difficulties of the communications between hotels and guests, because they needed to send out new information about behaviors of how to get to a hotel, how to keep safe, the distancing measures at a hotel, to kind of eliminate any uncertainties that the guest may have about staying at any property and also arriving in a city. So we've seen a lot of demand for things like communication methods like emails, messaging integrations, and also CRMs to handle those reservations. But those are all the things that already happened after the first lockdown. So hopefully hotels have looked back and learned from those over the past few months, because those things are only just coming back as such. Yeah.
Totally. And Dan, what are you seeing on your end in regards to challenges for hoteliers?
Yeah, just to latch on to what Joseph just mentioned, it's just adapting to the lessons that we're all taught in the last 15 months or so. So I think we are seeing a staffing crisis in hotels right now. And hopefully everyone is going to be able to bring them on for this pent up demand that's coming. One example that I'll mention is we ran a mentorship program at Event Temple where we give a bundled services. And one of our winners was unable to make some of our scheduled calls because they've been doing night audits for the last 5 months because they've been short on staff. So it's bringing folks back, and then it's adjusting them and training them on the new normal, following different health protocols, making everyone feel comfortable, learning the new check-in process, things of that nature. And then also understanding new comp sets. It's going to be an open market now, and there's going to be different marketing from hotels to go out and hunt and compete for business. And hoteliers need to adapt to that and adjust their business strategies accordingly. And then lastly, we're working with reduced budgets now. Everyone took a hit in the industry, so they need to make up for poor performance and do more with less. And that's where technology, again, can fit the bill. You find clean technologies at a cost-effective price, and you can see your revenue increase and show a dramatic ROI.
Awesome. And I love that idea of investing in tech to help make up for the staffing crisis that we're seeing right now. And Lloyd, what about you? What are you seeing in regards to challenges for hotels?
Yeah, I mean, Joseph and Dan hit the nail on the head. The industry, it witnessed a disruption, not a typical downturn during this past cycle. So as we see occupancy snap back and room rates nearing their 2019 comparables, especially at the bottom and very top of the chain scales already, it's important to stay focused on the long-term revenue strategy and positioning of your hotel or casino in the Duetto application. So Sammy, I can think of two immediate challenges, the shifting cost structures and guest satisfaction. So first, and to reiterate what Dan said, the disconnect between anticipated demand levels, especially elevated over the summer months, and staffing is a hot industry topic right now. Staffing shortages and rising labor costs have always been the primary concern of owners and operators. And while a hotel's forecast is the main driver of revenue strategies, it's also the key input into the operational forecast that determines staffing levels. So it is important to revisit and possibly revise cost inputs into your rate forecast, such as variable room type costs, or check on your cost per occupied room figures that influence your group rate quote. There's also room turn cost inputs into transient price optimization to consider. And secondly, we know the relationship between staffing levels and hotel service scores. The integration of online reputation indexes or guest satisfaction benchmarking into revenue strategies is nothing new. And it's essential to watch during this uneven rebound. So keep a close eye on these metrics in the Duetto application and incorporate them into your weekly revenue calls with sales to provide insight into the ability to drive rate premiums or as a leading indicator of demand share shift. While guests may have been more understanding during recent stays, their reviews and survey responses may change now that hotel pricing power has returned in many markets. So those are just a couple of the challenges that I can think of, Sammy.
No, definitely. And I love how you touched on how they can optimize those rates as well. So let's move over to strategies and tools to prepare for this deferred demand. So experience has taught us that closed markets should prepare for travelers to flood through the gates. What are some strategies and tools hoteliers can implement to prevent the challenges discussed above? And what technologies or tech features should we look to invest in? Dan, we'll start with you.
First of all, a strong CRM. Leads are coming in from a variety of different sources. So where are they coming? You want to make sure that your lead response time is fast, and that's critical, as we all know, in business in general. The ability to send your contracts and proposals out in lightning speed way. And then also adoption. As we get prepared to field this demand, you want to be looking at technology that's fast to implement and it's fast to adopt. So your team, you might be bringing them in brand new into the hotel. They need to be able to adapt to the software quickly, and your partners need to be able to facilitate that and make sure that they're onboarding and training the hotel in record time to meet this demand. You can't have 6-month implementation or 12-month implementation. That will defeat the purpose. So finding clean technology that is easy to use is vital as we get ramped up here moving forward. And also scalable. You want software that they'll grow with you, not just to meet this demand within the next 12 to 18 months, hopefully longer, but long term. So finding technology and partners that are cost effective, easy to use, and implementation time is very low is a win-win situation in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. And Lloyd, I'd love to hear your input on this.
Oh, I think one of the most important strategies is collaboration and closer coordination between sales, marketing, revenue management, and distribution in a centralized commercial strategy team that may lead to new and creative ways to align market segmentation strategies, right? In the past, digital marketing would use loyalty member attributes or online channel buying behaviors of segments for campaign targeting criteria. Meanwhile, revenue management forecasts are performed at the market segment level, which improves forecast accuracy, but they're not necessarily aligned with sales and marketing approaches, right? So an example of this may be your corporate negotiated accounts that are booked not only in the corporate rate plan, but also sometimes we know book bar. Or another common theme in this rebound is measuring business versus leisure market segments, sometimes using weekday versus weekend as a proxy respectively. So these disparate and traditional definitions may need to evolve into a market segmentation 2.0 maybe, or you know, because the lines are blurring. So you need a flexible platform like Duetto that can identify and modify market segments more accurately, and optimizing for true customer value is what folks should be looking for. And Duetto differentiates itself from other RMSs by aligning loyalty program targeted strategies and market segment flexibility individually, while also maintaining the consistency required at the overall portfolio level. So I hope that makes sense, Sammy.
No, it definitely does. And I think one of the things we're going to see, especially with staffing crisis, is those cross-functional roles where revenue managers might actually be doing some of the sales, front desk might be helping out with sales. So really learning different parts of the business and having technology that can operate smoothly is really important right now. And Joseph, I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important to have technologies that seamlessly exchange data. We've got a great partner in Duetto and Event Temple, where data transfer is so easy that it is visible and transparent to all of the different departments within a hotel, especially if you have to now, as you mentioned, kind of cross-functionally operate in different departments because of staffing shortages. So it's really, really important. With regards to the questions about, what could closed markets do versus, the open markets at the moment, definitely keep an eye on the open markets, see how the demand bounces up and adjust your staffing levels quite early on. But I would also say that it's really, really important to go back the 12 months and learn from the original experience. Like, last year, we were able to say that nothing like this has happened to our hospitality industry before, and it was really, really hard to predict what was going to come next in the next few months. However, this year round, we have a fair amount of idea of the demands, of what's going to drive demand, and really important there, what both Dan and Lloyd mentioned is the guest satisfaction rating. It's so important, and setting the right price, because it's very tempting to put the price up because demand is really high at the moment. But as soon as you put the price up, then your service has to be excellent. And if you can't be confident that your service is excellent, then you're going to be faced with bad customer ratings. So a long-term view on customer satisfaction is also really important. And where, from an operational point of view, Mews comes in is the facilitation of the contactless experience for the guests. Guest satisfaction is going to increase if there is no confusion around what am I allowed to do and not allowed to do at check-in. The times of the long queue at check-in needs to be gone, because with social distancing, that queue would be, going out the building in certain cases. So really automate and optimize that process using various tools, not just ones that are offered by Mews, but by all of our integration partners to supplement, that experience across all the departments. That's what I would look at if I was looking at reopening my hotel.
Definitely. And I think it is important to note that we now do have data that we can pull from. We do have a year of experience, and every market has gone through at least one attempt to reopen with more shutdowns happening, or in the US, they got to stay open, which we're very jealous about. So let's talk about a little bit about group and events. So open markets are now starting to see group and event inquiries trickle through. While event size still tends to be a little bit smaller, we are seeing that start to build some traction. So what tips do you have for hoteliers looking to properly balance those leisure rates with group and event business? And Lloyd, I would love to start with you as a revenue manager.
Of course. So this is an excellent question, which helps me tie together some of the topics and intriguing insights that Joseph and Dan have discussed. To properly balance leisure with group and meetings and events, hoteliers need to ensure that not only are their commercial strategy staff communicating optimally, but also their tech stack is properly talking to each component. What I mean by this is your Mews PMS or Event Temple CRM and EMS capabilities are aligned with your RMS pricing and inventory selling strategies, or your Duetto RMS, such as the group optimal prices that factor in ancillary revenue from the group inquiry against, SPGRN thresholds or profit margins, and the revenue manager's forecast for those future stay dates and room availability displacement, as well as costs such as walk costs and per occupied room costs. And conversely, not only are the group definites included in the forecast, but also tentatives and those to be booked. In essence, the entire sales pipeline and funnel have to, you need to have a clear picture of those upcoming need periods. So those are just a few tips that I hope you find insightful. Right, Joseph?
And Joseph, how do you feel hotels should be able to balance that leisure and group and event business?
It's quite a tricky question for me because I'm not like Lloyd, a revenue manager by any means. However, I would look at the corporate market and the behaviors of TMCs and what they're planning, keeping an eye on that with regards to compliance and large corporations of how they view corporate travel going forward, and also how they view events moving forward. Over the past few weeks, I've heard a lot about hybrid models of events where there is I don't think there is any doubt for anyone here that events will come back. But we do believe that it will slightly change. The format will change, but people will still want to meet in person. They will still want to have those type of corporate events that are so important to have a real business and personal connection with your partners and integration partners and other businesses. So it's looking at those challenges that these TMCs have in terms of getting the right rates for their corporate clients, and also the corporate businesses of how much risk they see in travel during those uncertain times where regulation change on a regular basis, and this level of uncertainty kind of remains over the corporate business. So overall, I think, it has to be down to looking at those indicators and really planning forward in a long-term way as well.
Perfect. And Dan, I'd love to hear what your thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. From a pure sales perspective, I think hoteliers should just take advantage of what they can get right now, which is going to be a lot of leisure and recreation, which is fantastic. But that will eventually even out. And I think it's important for hotels to have a strong pipeline to support their growth and understand their analytics, which is why it's so important to work with, RMS solutions like Duetto and a PMS solution like Mews as well. So the whole trick to this is to have your tech stack run behind the scenes in an effortless way and being able to provide a perfect customer experience that they don't get to see, right? They don't necessarily care what technology you're using behind the scenes. They want that experience, and that's what you're able to offer. As far as the group business, continuing to prospect for group and event business and keeping your pipeline strong is important. You need to hunt and prospect for business now more than we ever have in the past. So that's why it's critical to have a CRM component and marketing strategies to support that. And also, it's hard to pass on transient rates. Look for the value of a group. How many events do they have per year? Are they during your slow season? I mean, throw the months and the days out the window the last 15 months. Who knows? That'll come back the calendar year, next year, what have you. But really throw some of your strategies that you had 15 months ago and implement new ones. So group business is definitely coming back. In-person conferences, we're already seeing that. That's not going away. So just adjust your strategies accordingly. And then if that includes your technology stack, by all means, now's the time to look at it.
No, definitely. And I love that idea of looking at the future value of a group. Before, when I worked at a hotel, we always wanted to take that leisure business. And then we started seeing those dips in our slower times and realizing that when we weren't evaluating them properly, we were missing out on quite a bit of revenue. So that is a great tip. So we're heading into the Q&A portion of the conversation. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask one of our panelists, feel free to type it into the chat. While we wait, I thought I'd bring up something. So I was just reading an article by Josef, who was talking about the leisure travel market. And he was making the argument that we are going to see business travel continue. It's going to look differently because we're all going to be digital nomads who can work from anywhere. I'd love to hear your thoughts on leisure travel and how hotels can capitalize on that market. Josef, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. I think, that trend to a degree already started before the pandemic with technologies able to facilitate working from anywhere already, new innovative companies actually promoting that level of work. So I think in the hotel industry, we've seen quite a lot of mixing of business and leisure. I certainly, whenever I can, and I travel on business, I take my family with me to supplement around the holidays. And I think it's being kind of fast-tracked now as well, because a lot of more companies were forced to move into that more digital space. And even for hoteliers, you know, and back office staff now, you don't have to be on premise anymore. You know, you can work with systems like Duetto and Event Temple and Mews from any computer in the world, which seems so natural and so normal, you know, with the technology that we have today, but it wasn't really the norm before the pandemic. So I think it will trend up. You know, we have a lot of people in our company certainly working from all corners of the world, even at this point, and it will only accelerate, I think, as well.
Definitely. And then I have another one coming, and this one might be good for you, Lloyd. How can hotels make revenue from their property while business travel is down? Or well, so when we head into a little dip in travel, if we do, how can they make some revenue?
Due to shorter booking windows, which are actually starting to lengthen a bit, we have limited visibility into the shape of the business travel rebound, but all indications are the road warriors will return with a vengeance after the Labor Day holiday, with most kids going back to school and offices starting to reopen. So in the interim, many hotels are hanging weekday occupied rooms until Monday or Tuesday when they can be cleaned, because they won't be filled midweek anyway. So the day of week patterns right now have inverted at most properties, including urban and resort locations, with midweek being the lowest occupancy days of the week, which affords hoteliers time to turn rooms for sale. So while this does not exactly answer that question, it is a way properties can boost profits during this pre-business travel boom period.
Definitely. All right, so we have no more questions, so we'll jump into final thoughts. So Dan, we'll start with you. So what are your final thoughts on deferred demand and this revenge travel wave that's going to hit?
Yeah, I think we all covered it in the panel today, but it's here. It's coming. We're already seeing it in different areas of the globe, especially in North America as well. So let's get ready for it. So you still have time as a hotelier to look at your technology, look at your capital costs, and work with vendors such as ours who can offer a low-cost service and implement at an extremely fast rate. And again, support you along your journey and make sure that you're with us for the long run. Changing software, change management can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. So that's my take on it. And again, adjusting to this new world that we're in, like Joseph mentioned, leisure travel within hotels and what have you, it's here. That shift has been made. This pandemic has just accelerated digitalization across multiple verticals. It's not going anywhere. So the hotels that adapt now to this new norm and the technology are the ones that are going to be reaping the rewards down the road here. So it's an exciting day for around the globe, and just seeing every day, these restrictions lift. It's finally here, and now it's time to get back to business and get back to hospitality.
Awesome. And Lloyd, what are your final thoughts on this topic of the deferred demand and revenge travel wave?
Yeah, final thought. So of course, the revenue manager in me is going to advise hotels to focus on their long-term strategies and long-term forecasts, and not just one, but also their Duetto system forecast and how that compares to the user's forecast, how that compares to the sales pipeline forecast, save off multiple versions of the forecast based on different scenarios to ensure you can more nimbly pivot commercial strategies if warranted, which can set you up for success as we move into the fourth quarter and into 2022 budget season, almost here.
Yes, it is. I know that's crazy to think about.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And Joseph, last but not least, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think as Dan said, it's here. Deferred travel is happening. We see it in domestic leisure travel. We see it in international travel in certain areas, and we will see it more and more in business travel. At Mews, we're forecasting a real restart of the business travel even this year. We've been focusing our efforts in terms of development, even an investment into that sector, so we can further support our integration partners like Duetto and Event Temple. And I think what Dan said is really right. It's about the right technology, and it does seem scary sometimes to make that jump and to make that switch. However, what it does mean, if you're having an innovative, flexible system, you're much more likely to be able to react to real life changes because you can just plug something else in, or you can, find a new tool that's in the market without major change management involved. Once you've made that step to this type of flexible technology and integrations.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lloyd, Joseph, and Dan for today's discussion. I think it was a good one. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And again, I will send out that recording tomorrow morning. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, everyone. Bye.